was grinding like all day, taking calls. And if I'm not taking calls, I'm making dials to get on calls, and I'm doing follow up, and I'm building sequences and like anything I could do to find cash. And I averaged like $4,000 a month. To create urgency, you have to be a dog. And that's where my life changed. First month I made like 7, which was the biggest month I ever had. And then I made 10, and then 10 again. And then it was like 15, 18, 20, 25, 25, 30. That's when everything changed.
Whenever you were breaking down, how would you describe the emotion? Was it anxiety?
I didn't want to be a failure. And my definition of a failure was going through school and not making anything. So I gave myself these 4 years to make something work. I'm putting every dollar into ads, into mentorship, into everything that I can to make this thing work. I did this dropshipping thing, which didn't work. Now I'm doing this email marketing thing. I finally get 2 clients, and both of those things fall apart.
All right, we're here, man. We're live, baby.
We're live.
Let's do this.
In Miami.
In Miami, caffeinated, a couple days before the new year. Nick, dude, I'm super stoked to have you, man. So for context, we barely know each other outside of your hilarious and awesome reels on Instagram with the 200K a month YN, bro. Whenever I first saw you, I was like, what is this guy doing? And like, you hooked me in for sure. And I'm like, is this just one of those guys who's playing the bit, but then you start dropping sauce, then you actually know your shit. Then I see you with the whiteboard, and I see you cooking up. So we had an exchange on Instagram and ended up having a good conversation. So now we're here, man. I'd love to just welcome you and kick things off from the very beginning. Like I talked to you a second ago, I'd love to just understand, like, we can go complete 0 to 1, like origin story, where are you from, how'd you get into sales? Then we can talk about that for a good bit. Then we can explore what you're doing with coaching and the state of the industry and all those things. But to kick things off, let's just go back to the beginning, man. Like, tell me where you're from. How'd you get into sales? You can pick the starting point.
Well, welcome to the city. And
let's roll. Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
To take it back from the very beginning, I was born in Kenya. I came here when I was 2 years old. Both of my parents were like in their early to mid 30s. I think like early 30s, both of them.
Okay.
So they were starting fresh, right? And my sister's like 10 years older than me. So they had a 12-year-old and a 2-year-old starting totally fresh. And they were making like $6 an hour. We were living in Massachusetts. And I learned a lot of hard work through them, because for years, that was their life, is making pennies on the dollar in this brand new country. They were accountants back home.
Mm-hmm.
So to go from a decent living there to like dead broke starting from scratch here, they had to rebuild everything. And we learned a lot of just, like I said, like hard work. And they put each other through school. So my dad went to school, and then my mom went to school while the other was working
in Massachusetts.
In Massachusetts.
How did you guys actually get over here? Was it like visa thing? Was it on a raft? Like,
yeah, it was on a raft. We took a fucking boat here. Nah, I don't know the details. I know there was like some type of raffle for a green card, and
really,
my parents won it. And this is like 2002. So
is that really how it works?
Yeah. It was like some type of a raffle. Yeah, and I think my parents used to do it all the time until they finally got it. And we came together, and bro, I remember these times it was much easier to get things like citizenship. So I think you had to be here for like 5 years, and then you just like take a test and get it. And by then I was 7, so my parents took it. They didn't have any problems. Now it's difficult, bro.
Sure,
it's really, really hard to get now, and I see people my age struggling to be able to get like citizenship here.
From Kenya, or just in general?
From Kenya, from different parts of Africa. Like, I see them like really struggling to be able to get citizenship. So that was like my first blessing, is that I was just right place, right time. My parents happened to win the raffle.
God is good.
God is good, bro. And I came. And my parents, like I said, put each other through school, and they were nurses. And they were LPNs, so like just under a registered nurse. And I didn't grow up poor, right? Like, I didn't come from the trenches and the mud.
Mm-hmm.
But combined, they made like 70-80 grand for a family of 4. Like, they still struggled to some degree.
For sure. So they went from accounting to the medical field.
Yeah. One thing about Africans when we come here is, healthcare is like one of the quickest ways to be able to make a living.
Sure.
Versus having to go through the corporate grind.
Yeah.
So it only took them like 2 or 3 years to be able to have like real careers and real jobs. And they did that for a while. They're still doing that. And they made a lot of sacrifices, right? Like 70-80 grand for a family of 4. They made a lot of sacrifices. They put us in private school. So I was able to see money. And I think that was one of the beginnings, is being able to see it, which when we talk about the entrepreneur story, it'll kind of make sense there. But they made a lot of sacrifices. They got into a lot of debt. And that's kind of what put me here. And
Yeah,
seeing these rich kids, I was like, I have to make something of myself.
sure.
And my parents came from the mud.
Well, it's interesting because like if you obviously like you say you're not from the trenches, right? But coming from Africa, it is like a complete shift.
Mm-hmm.
And props to your parents for really doing the damn thing. You know,
Word.
I think you know, a lot of times, sometimes when you have parents in that situation, you can either learn from what they do and follow it, or you can learn from what they do and do the opposite of it, right? But it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like you had some pretty solid role models as far as that goes. And obviously like work ethic, hard work, great attitude. Was your dad like a positive attitude type of guy? Like what was his demeanor? Or was he more like a, you know, you're a failure, you got to make it happen, like kind of like overbearing, like wanting you to succeed? Or what was that kind of dialogue like?
I think there were parts of my dad that were a little bit like mad at the world.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this is my hypothesis, but because we came from being an accountant to kind of starting fresh here, and like back home, they think that America's made of money. They literally think you walk outside and it's raining money. So relatives have a lot of expectations and stuff. And for him, when it comes to expectations for me and my sister, he just didn't want us to be losers. Like that was the big thing. So he pushed school really hard. Like he's a very direct, very like tell you how it is type of dude. And he pushed school really hard. And it was basically like you're a fucking failure if you don't go to school.
Yeah.
And so that was ingrained in me for a really long time. And I thought that was just the path I was going to go. So I was like, fuck it, I might as well go to a good career. So to me, it was physical therapy was where I was kind of leaning towards. And the place that the entrepreneurship origin story starts is, again, I told you I went to school with rich kids, right? There was a gentleman who invited me to his gym, and this was like the Equinox of Delaware. It's called the Hack, right?
Okay.
And he invited me there, and bro, this was my first time seeing like a luxury. I'm talking about they got saunas.
Yeah.
They got saunas. They got all types of shit. They got like 3 pools. Like it was just like
Ball.
bougie for no reason.
Right.
And I remember we were in the steam room. They had a steam room and a sauna. Why? Who knows?
Bro, I love a steam room, bro.
Yeah, it was my first time in a steam room too. And I remember I went in there and there was this Asian dude and he was like tatted up and he was a real estate developer. And he's just talking to us. We're like 17-year-old kids. It's a couple months before school.
How old is he, you think?
Maybe like 35.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah. He was also an immigrant. And he was telling us a little bit about himself and it sounded like my story. Immigrant, parents came from nothing, yada, yada, yada. And he said he's making like 60 grand a month with real estate. And I was like, I didn't even know you can make 60 grand a month. I was like, what the? I didn't even know that's possible.
Right.
Like I'm about to go to school for 60 grand a year.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to chopping it up and he says that he like flips real estate. So I start going down that path, that rabbit hole. And I thought that was going to be the thing for me.
Sure.
Flipping real estate. I find Graham Stephan, I find Meet Kevin, like all these guys.
Meet Kevin, legend.
Yeah. And I quickly realized that takes a lot of money to do.
Sure.
Did you ever have like a real estate like journey or
phase? I met those two guys online from the personal finance side of the equation because they were big into stocks and stuff too. And I went to school for finance. So I thought I was going to go like banking, like Wall Street type of thing, but I just decided like I didn't want to do the whole cocaine and Corvettes. Like I realized like you either go and play the New York game, right? Like Wall Street, or you become a banker. And I'm like, fuck that, both of those options. Like early on, I didn't want to get tied down. And like before I finished school, like I'd always worked full time, but I was like selling weed on the side and like doing that whole thing. And so I always took pride in the fact that I would work 40 hours a week and go to school. So I did all those things first. But when I started gaining a little bit of leverage and not exchanging my time for money, like I realized like, okay, the real estate thing does require capital.
Yeah.
I like the cash flow. I don't have a big nest egg because with selling weed, you can't really save the money. So I was just like, it had to go out and back in. And so, but I found Meet Kevin and Graham Stephan through the finance thing. And I remember in 2020, like getting into stock trading and doing options and stuff. And like, I bet a bunch of money on a couple different stock options. Some did really well, but then I lost like 20 grand. So I had my little nest egg and then I just blew it. So yeah, I didn't have, the real estate thing, I respect a lot of those guys. And I just did an interview with my buddy Kendrick, who's based in Charlotte, and he's doing really well with wholesaling from the get-go, like getting into real estate with other people's money. But I never had that phase.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I never actually like started. So with the real estate thing, it was I had a so I was like, okay, this is gonna be the thing for me. And I'm watching all these YouTube videos about flipping and investing and all these different things. And I had an uncle. He wasn't really an uncle. He was like family friend,
Mm-hmm.
and he flipped real estate. So he was a dog, and he would like let me come with him and shit. And we would like ride around, see his different properties. This property's shit got stolen in it. This one,
Mm-hmm.
the tenants just disappeared. Like all these crazy things. And he's telling me the amount of money he has to put in it. 30, 40, 50, close to 100 grand sometimes. And I'm like, oh, I don't got that kind of money. I don't have 100 grand. So that's when I pivoted into finding like ecom and stuff like
And
that.
this is like 18, 19.
18, 19, yeah. And at this time, I had this really big chip. This is why I keep bringing up the fact that I grew up with rich kids, like seeing mansions and seeing them get dropped off in nice cars. I used to have to walk to the gym at school,
Mm-hmm.
like, because they were pretty close by. And it was like a 20-minute walk. And like they'd be flying by, some kids even younger than me in like the brand new cars.
Bins.
So that put a big chip in my shoulder of like, I have to
Oh
make
yeah.
money myself.
Yeah, man. Like I think like being broke is relative, right? Like if you make $20 billion, but all your friends make 40 billion, well, that's
You're broke.
you know what I'm saying. And like,
Yeah.
for me, I grew up like super low income. Like both of my parents were on welfare and stuff, and like I developed that same type of chip on my shoulder. Um, I don't think it was an anger, but I think it was like, um, what would the word be? Just like a, I will bet on myself and win type of thing, like a me versus me. But maybe there's a little bit of like looking for some validation somewhere along the lines.
Hmm.
So it wasn't really like an anger chip on my shoulder, but it was like a, um, I need to prove it to myself type thing. But yeah, same thing, like getting off the bus, everybody's, that are at the cool kid lunch table, like they're all doing well and they got normal lives and I'm down here. So I
Yeah.
felt that pretty early on too.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely a lot of anger. I remember the first thing that came of that before like we get into the e-commerce stuff is going into senior year. I was like, I'm going to get a car. Like, there's no way I'm going to start school without a car. Like, I'm going to
Mhm.
get a car. So I had a job at Rita's, it's an ice cream place. And then I also had one at a restaurant that I'd work at night. So I'd go from to morning, like 8 to like 3, and then like 4 to 10 at the restaurant. And I'd bike all the way up.
Yep.
And then the summer came and I actually got a car. And obviously it wasn't as nice as theirs, but I got a car. And that was like the first kind of click to me of, okay, maybe they
Hard
didn't get here
days.
through hard work, but I could get to where their parents are through hard work.
Yeah. Well, I think honestly, man, I look back now at how I grew up and I'm so blessed. Like you said, same kind of thing. Like bought my first car myself, like made all the payments myself. And I would work literally when I was in school, it was like I would go to tennis practice. I played tennis and I would get off at 5 and be at work from 5:30 to 10:30 every night.
Mhm.
And then Friday evening was my only time off. And then Saturday and Sunday was a double, like 8 to 11, 15-hour shift. So I was working like 40 hours a week.
Damn.
And I got into some legal trouble. So I would basically give like half of my paycheck to my lawyer and half of my paycheck keep it. But I still always worked 40 hours a week. And like at some point I was like, I got to start making something faster,
Yeah.
But looking back though, I think I'm so glad because I'm so appreciative of the little things like fresh water and like heat in a
Mhm.
house and
Mhm.
like the stove being on, like because I had dealt with not that, like where we couldn't even, like sometimes we didn't even have hot water. And so I have this really good muscle of gratitude that allows me to appreciate a lot more when typically the guys who grew up with the rich parents and they didn't have to really work for it, like they end up blooming later in life because when they get hit with the real world, they don't have any sort of foundation to step off of, right? Whenever you're younger and you work hard for a car and you just it builds like these values and these principles, and then when you get into the real world, it's like you have a little bit more skin in the game, so you're not as shocked by it.
Yeah.
That's why I think like sometimes you'll see like the kids who grew up like that, they'll go to college and they'll just demolish like they'll fail, they'll just get drunk because they don't know how to cope because they're on their own for the first time. So like looking back, I'm super blessed at the way I grew up. But in the moment, like it can feel like the world is kind of against you.
Yeah, it's definitely a dick punch. And what's interesting about what you just said, I don't know the exact number, but I saw a statistic. It's like, I'm pretty sure it's beyond 50% of people who, however much money your parents were making when you grew up is more than likely what you're going to be.
Oh, it's like 90. It's like 90%.
Yeah, something like that.
It's
something
funny.
crazy.
Yeah.
So the fact you came from poverty, like you said, and you've made so much more out of it is like, you're the 10%.
Mm-hmm.
And as we grow up and we're around more people, like even here in Miami, a lot of the people I know who have money came from money. And I don't say it in a bad way. but they came from money. And a lot of the people back home who I know who are struggling, their parents were struggling too.
Yep.
So I think it makes it even more impressive.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. It's funny. I was listening to Chris Williamson on the way here on the flight, and he did like a 25 lessons from 2025. And the first lesson that he kicks the podcast off with is something like the parental attribution fallacy or something like that, where it's like he talks about how a lot of people think that they got all the bad stuff from their parents, but they forget that each of those have an equal and opposite good thing about it, where it's like, I always had to be the one that settles the arguments, and that's like my trauma or whatever, but it's also the thing that allows you to de-escalate in your company now, right? And
Yeah.
like he gives like 18 examples of how like this bad thing from my parents is actually on the flip side of that coin is a good thing, you know? And so, yeah, I think honestly, like that's one of the things I think I'm blessed with the most is I just had not the foresight, but whatever it is, the ability to have said, fuck that, I'm not staying here, you know?
Right.
George Mack talks about this idea of high agency, where it's like you make life happen to you instead of, or you make life happen instead of life happening to you. And so like you can tell kind of when people move out of their hometown or they have that chip on their shoulder for whatever reason, they'll actually end up going further. And
That's something to prove, right?
yeah, it's like you got something to prove, you know? So like Hormozy talks about how if you want to teach your kid patience, like you wouldn't just give him what he wants, you'd make him wait for it. Or if you want to teach him hard work, then you'd make the goal take 6 months instead of, a week or whatever. So
Right.
dude, like you said, like having that ability to just bet on yourself and work for the car was the first thing. That is like the seeds that get planted. So you get the car, then what?
Get the whip, driving every day to school. I felt like a boss. And then this was now at the end that was the beginning of senior year. This is now at the end of senior year when I met the Asian dude and I started going down the real estate rabbit hole, figured out that wasn't for me. As most people do, I searched how to make money online, right?
Yep.
And I'm coming across stocks. And there was a dude named Umar who I saw, but I was like, yo, this shit sounds boring as fuck. So I moved on. And then I found something called ecom, something called dropshipping, right?
Who knows?
Who knows? And my boy, this guy that he had graduated a year before, was crushing it with dropshipping. Like, this was like 2017, so he was crushing it, bro. Like, he lived in, who Jet Set Fly is? He used to be like really big in ecom, and they had like a house, like a mansion in LA, and he lived in that mansion. And he's driving the whips, the jet skis. He's like all stage passes or whatever. So I was like, I don't even need any more social proof. This is what I'm gonna do. Like, this is the route. So I did that for 2 years. And
Did you invest into coaching, or did you just kind of do the free YouTube University type thing?
Coaching wasn't really as much of a thing then. This was like 2019.
Yeah.
So info was like barely a thing. There was like the $2,000 courses and
Yep.
stuff. But I did it for like a year, and I went to a networking event in New York. I took a bus there, and I met a dude who knew these other two dudes who did ecom who were also black, and I invested in them. It was dirt cheap though, bro. It was like, I don't know why they charged us that less, because they gave us so much value. It was me and my partner, my business partner.
You don't hear that often, man. That's awesome.
Bro, they were charging us $350 a month between the two of us. And then they
For,
take
like,
like
ongoing
60% of the revenue. So that was kind of their play there. But I did it by myself. We did it with them, and I just could not get it to work. For whatever reason, we would get stores to like 5-10 grand a month. Some, I think the biggest was like 8 grand, so not even 10. And then it would just flop, and it was never profitable for 2 years, bro. And this 2 years, I'm still going to the dishwashing job. I had left the Ritas. I got 2 dishwashing jobs. I'm still going to college, right? My dad's asking me, how's school going? I'm lying to him. I'm saying, oh, school's going great. Whole time, and his friends are coming over. Oh, Nick, what do you want to do with your life? Oh, yeah, I want to go do physical therapy and take this path. And it was a tough 2 years. It was honestly probably one of the toughest 2 years. I remember
That's from 19 and 21.
2019 to 2021, yeah. I remember my sister called me. She like FaceTime. Bro, I'd be with family spaced out. Like, her now husband's mom would look at me and always say like, yo, something's wrong with it.
He's not even here.
Yeah,
Where are you, bro?
In my mind, I got Facebook ads. I'm like, okay, what if I change the creative? If I do this and this, like, what do I have to do to get this thing to work? And I was not present with anybody. And she called me and she was like, are you okay? And I fucking broke down. Like, I wasn't even expecting it. I was just like holding it in for so long. And I broke down. And this was around the time my girl and I started dating, who's behind the scenes here.
Shout out Lisa.
Shout out Lisa. This is around the time that we started dating. and it was really rough. And I decided that I might need to pivot because my goal was I just need to get out of my hometown. I just need to get out of Delaware, and I need to get out of my parents' crib too. And if I'm gonna drop out of school, I have to be able to get out of my parents' crib. So there was a gentleman named Nate Schmidt who makes ecom videos, and he said something about like if you're brand new and the biggest goal is cash, ecom's not for you. I'm like, what the? Should have told me this 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He said you need to start a service business instead. So I was like, okay. Went down that rabbit hole. Bought his course. It was like $1,000 or something like that. And
like SMMA service or like
it was
boring?
called,
Is it like roofing or like?
bro, the course had the craziest name. It was called 6 months to six figures is what his course is called. And it was selling email marketing services like copywriting to ecom brands. So then I come on Twitter and I see guys like Cold Email Wizard, and he's talking about these different strategies to be able to cold email these businesses so that they could be able to, pay you like $2,500 a month. I was like, if I can make $3,000 to $4,000 a month, like I'm
golden.
I'm golden, right? So I bought his course, which was like $200. So I've been investing into these little courses because again, mentorship wasn't as big of a thing. Bought his course, was like $200. Learn cold email. I start assaulting cold emails. I start demolishing them to like any business I can find on the scraping software.
Lead scraper.
Yeah. Lead scrapers, Apollo, like all of those.
I think they got like Clay now. I know some guys that are running that play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely a good play. I was in Tampa with a lot of the cold email people. Like,
what's funny, like as you're talking about this, right? Like I'm thinking like you're the type of person that's willing to take those steps and then pivot if it doesn't work out or you don't find the thing. And most of the time, any business model works, right? Unless you're, selling like, butterfly catching or something, like who knows what. Like as long as it's a real business with a TAM that's a decent size, you can kill it in any business. And so people just won't do the time though, but you're doing the cold email and you start assaulting it.
I agree, bro. And I think this is why in my sales career, I've resonated really well with BizOp. Because I get that, right? Like for one, I've been all these different prospects. I've been the guy working lower level jobs. I've been the corporate guy. I've been all these different prospects. And even if this isn't the thing for them, I know that one thing is going to lead to another because that's how it happened for me.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of people go through they buy the Ty Lopez course back in the day or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it's like paying your dues, like I paid $7,000 for like a completely ridiculous mentorship where it was basically just like motivational quotes and like
you ever see that meme where it's a dude and he's like, I just bought my success course?
Yeah, and it's like the first module is mindset. Now upgrade to the VIP to get the rest. Yeah, totally. But it's kind of like you pay to play, you know? And if you're the type of person that's going to make it happen, it's just iterations, and I think people need to be reminded more that your first business will likely be a total failure. It depends on how you define failure, though, because failure just means like you gave up. So if it fails, like that's a good thing. You tried, and if it doesn't work, you pivot, right? So
there's lessons in all of it.
I think I love BizOp too, and depending on the ethics of the founder and how good their curriculum is, just because you do something well doesn't mean you can teach people well. But if the person's good at teaching, and we can talk about that and how you use that with sales stuff now, but like if you can pay $5,000 to $7,000 or whatever, like sub 10K or some or more, and actually learn the fundamentals of building a business, you're going to do well. And the people it's like survival of the fittest. Like if you make it, you make it. And if you're not, then hey, and a lot of people want the course to work for them, but the way that I think about it is making the course work for you.
Yeah.
And like people have a miraculous way of getting in their own way. It's like, and staying the same, And so the 0 to 10K mark is like probably the hardest threshold to break.
I agree.
Like when I made my first $10,000 a month, that was a big moment. Maybe the 20K was bigger, but since then, like 30, 40, etc., like the 20K month was the biggest, like the richest I ever felt. And it was like but I had already shattered all the beliefs from 10, and I stayed in between 10 and 20 for a while before I made it past that level. But man, getting to $10,000 a month was just like scratching and clawing.
I know. That's like, I'm rich. At least how
it's like 5-6
figures a year. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, bro. And yeah, like one thing always leads to another. And I remember when I was selling like YouTube automation, for example, I would have people on the team who were like struggling with conviction. Like, well, how do I know this is going to work for them? And my answer is, it doesn't fucking matter if it's going to work for them. What matters is, is this going to propel them towards where they want to be? Even if they don't do this exact model, even drop shipping, even if they don't do this exact model and this is what gets them to where they want to be, is it going to get them a step closer?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of that is because that's how I got here, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm doing the code emails, I'm assaulting them. I'm probably sending like close to 1,000 a week, right? Like after warming up the domains and all that. And I landed 2 clients, bro. They were both CBD. That was my niche. I was like, I'm gonna do CBD.
Selling bud,
Yeah,
baby.
selling buds.
Yeah.
And they were both just like shitty companies, bro. Like I just wanted a client.
Yeah.
They were shitty companies. And they were both very short lived. One dude didn't even pay me. I was about to go to Austin and like it was going to be a legal battle. It was crazy. It was I was going to spend my 21st in Austin fighting a case. And I knew he was serious because he was so calm. But anyway, that's a different story for another day. From there, I was even more frustrated because like I did this drop shipping thing, which didn't work. Now I'm doing this email marketing thing. I finally get 2 clients and both of those things fall apart.
Whenever you were breaking down when your sister called and through that time period now that you're referring to, like, how would you describe the emotion? Was it like anxiety? Was it like scarcity thinking? Like obviously you're trying to prove something and you're not going to give up and clearly you didn't. But like in that moment, like what was the emotion?
I think it was like built up anxiety that I never faced, right? And like to me, if I graduate, it sounds crazy, but if I graduated college, I would have felt like a failure. That's what I used to always tell myself. So I gave myself these 4 years to make something work. At this point, I'm at the halfway mark. I still got 2 more years left. Like it's getting closer and closer, and I don't have anything to prove for it. I'm putting every dollar into ads, into mentorship, into everything that I can to make this thing work. And now the people around me are starting to see that. I thought I was doing a good job at holding it in. So her saying that was like, fuck, no, I'm not okay.
What was the dialogue? Was it like my dad's gonna fucking kill me? Like what were some of those things you were telling yourself?
So I knew that I didn't want to go the school route for sure. But I also knew that I'd been telling my parents and I'd been living this narrative, this fake narrative for so long that if I was going to step away from it, I need to have something to show for it.
Sure.
Right. And my dad is, again, he's very direct, very like, he's even told me about friends I have like, oh, that motherfucker's wasting time. Like, he doesn't curse, but that dude's wasting time. So I didn't want to be a failure, basically.
Yeah.
And my definition of a failure was going through school and not making anything.
Accepting the path, the traditional pathway.
Yeah. So I think that's probably the best way to describe like the emotion at the time. It was just the clock is ticking. I've been working 2 years at this thing. Nothing's working. And I just have anxiety building and building and building because of how close that day is. Bro, I had a thing during COVID on my whiteboard and it said X amount of days until school. And every day I would go on there and I would erase it and put another number in it. And bro, I had to enroll for classes. Like I didn't even make that deadline. And this was like right before, it was like 14 days left. So she's asking me that. I'm FaceTiming her. I'm looking at the number that says like 14 or 15. So I know I'm probably going to have to re-enroll again. And it was just all that shit built up.
It's tough, man. And I think like that's where it'll be, even though you probably have faced a handful of up and downs since then, and of bigger magnitude sometimes and more risk and it's not over, right? There's going to be more up and downs. Like that first stretch though, like that's the make or break point. Like in sales, we talk a lot about how like typically it's probably like a cliff after 30 and 90 days. Like people usually don't make it a month or 3. And then 6 months is like a small percentage of people make it 6 months into a commission-based role. If you make it past 6 months, it's like, okay, you've kind of developed the stomach for it. But 2 years is a grind, dude. I mean, that's a lot of time looking at the clock, looking at the whiteboard, persevering despite not knowing where it'll go, so you were hanging in there.
I was after, and I've made reels about this too. This is when I had a manager who now constantly asks me like, how can I do what you're doing? And this, that, and the third, but I'd be in the back of the kitchen watching like Facebook ad strategy videos.
Yeah.
Just like mindset videos and stuff. And he would always have something to say, like negatively.
Yeah. Oh, corny.
Yeah.
What you think you're Tony Robbins, motherfucker?
Cornball. Yeah. Like, oh, he's going pyramid scheme guy.
Yeah. MLM.
Yeah. And he was like, "Oh yeah, and I've seen people do pyramid schemes. This is what scared me. One, this didn't scare me, but he said I've seen people do these pyramid scheme things, and like they're still broke 10 years later. What scared me is that he said he had bigger goals for himself. Like he wanted to. I won't say what he wanted to do, but he wanted to make more of himself.
Mhm.
And as time went on, he started to let go of that, and then he had just stayed at this kitchen job for close to 20 years. And I'm like, what if that's, I was like, nah, there's no
Yeah.
way. There's no way that's gonna be me. Um,
Well, you see that in the service industry too. Like I was a waiter
mhm.
for like from 18 to 22, and before that I was in the home like food service industry, so like taking care of the general public. And I think everybody should go and
Mhm.
take care of the public just
Amen.
to earn their stripes. But as a waiter, you see the same thing where, like specifically if you're a server who gets paid like cash tips, you'll get $100. If you're good, you'll make 150, $200. If you're some of these girls out here in Miami, you'll make a couple hundred a night,
Yeah.
maybe 1,000
Couple
sometimes.
bands.
Yeah, a couple bands. And like it's a it's just a hamster wheel where you get the cash, so you get that dopamine hit to where you'll come in and you'll know you'll make bread and clock out with the bread on cash. Like, and so many people get stuck in that because you could probably make 100 grand as a server,
That's
in a
dangerous.
good restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Which, hey, if that's you, like, no harm, no foul. But that was what terrified me too. Was like someone would be like, "Yeah, I'm 23 years veteran," and I'm like,
Mm.
"Fuck me!" Like, I pray to God that I'm not here in 3 years.
I know.
So no disrespect, but like, if you look at that pathway, what's interesting is I thought a lot about. I have a friend who his goal is to make 5 grand a month, and he just wants to make 5 grand a month and have free time to do whatever he wants with his time.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to like bash my head against the wall, like, why is your goal so low? But I started to come around to the fact that like the way that you and I think and the people that'll resonate with this message think, it's not for everyone, and not everyone should have the same goal. Because it's like, I don't even want to like do the joke, but it's like someone's got to put the fries in the bag, right? But like
Yeah.
some people want a stable paycheck. Like it's not super clear to me that everyone should be an entrepreneur or that they would even enjoy it at all, because
Yeah.
a lot of times with Instagram, it's like freedom, this and that. And that's what I really hate about the sales coaching space specifically, is that they sell the lifestyle, but they got the lifestyle from selling
And
the
selling
coaching.
right.
And so it's like, you didn't make $1 million last year in sales. You made $1 million last year in sales coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so it's like, that's where I have a little bit of a negative connotation with the people that are in our space. I think some people do it really well, but back to what I was saying was like, not everybody wants to have that type of risk appetite,
Yeah.
And I think some of the creators I see nowadays, they're doing like the my life as a 9 to 5,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got it. They do the early morning thing and spend the time with themselves. They do the 9 to 5 and they zip up their laptop and then like they go home and do the thing. Like, hey, there you go.
Yeah.
So not everybody should have those goals, because it's like one of those 1% things.
Yeah, it's definitely different strokes. I think there's a good amount of those people who do want those things but have suppressed it. I think more people, more than like we would even want to know, like do have these big goals, and maybe at one point they did want to do these big things, but reality kicked in and they
Mhm.
kind of suppressed it.
Well, that's why I love the biz op stuff, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Because I'll get on a call. Like I sold for the premium Ghostwriting Academy, and Dickie lives right around the corner. He's we're gonna do a podcast tomorrow, but he and his business partner Nicholas Cole, we would help people build a writing business.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget, I had this lady who enrolled. Her name is Charlie. I won't say her last name, but she's an awesome student. Ended up becoming one of the most successful people in the program.
Good for her.
And she had sent me an email before the sales call, to the degree of, "Hey Tristan, I saw the confirmation email. I understand exactly what you guys are doing with this strategy call. I'm gonna go ahead and let you know, like, I've already invested into 2 programs and they didn't really work out for me, and I kind of got left hanging. And I want you to know, like this might be my last shot at
Wow.
doing a business or whatever. And so if this isn't the thing, just give it to me straight, because I don't have the funds to risk unless it's legit. And I want to make this work, but I'm skeptical, and I'm coming to the call with my questions." And I'm like, perfect, no worries, totally hear you there. I can definitely appreciate you being skeptical about it, and I hate to hear that you didn't have those things work out. We got on the call and I went through the whole ringer, giving her success stories, introducing her to a student, pulling all the strings for her to feel confident about it, getting on with her husband, making sure they know the deal, XYZ 123, had the founder message her, and she took the plunge and then ended up making 10 grand in like the first 2 months or whatever. And
Nice.
she had to make 12K a month to be able to leave her job. But and I'm not sure where she's at right now, but she ended up slowly just climbing up and doing it, and she was so sick of her job. And that is just an example of hundreds of other clients that I had enrolled into that program. And I did so with so much conviction because my mentor would always tell me like the program was $6,800. And it's like, look, if you believe in it and you think the fulfillment is on point, the worst thing that can happen is they lose 7 grand. But the upside is super high.
Yeah.
Right. And so one of the other sales reps that I worked alongside, who's a really good friend of mine, he did really well, but he had a bit of back and forth on that conviction piece. And so he would kind of, what's the word? Like project onto the client, onto the person.
It makes sense. You want to think about it. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's like, I just think about it and project onto the client or the lead. Like, I don't know if they'll win or not. I don't know if they'll be successful or not. But my coach, Sean, would always tell me like, you are not the creator. You're not God. Like, don't decide for these people whether they could be successful or not. Give them an opportunity. If you have their goals and as long as they're not like mentally unstable, then make them an offer and you let them decide if they're going to win or lose, and so
sales is service, bro. Sales is service.
It's like, so much service. And I love like giving people that option, like transformational coaching specifically with BizOp, or I've never really sold on any fitness offers or anything, but like health, wealth, relationships, like no matter what, to help someone make the choice to bet on themselves. Like, dude, that just gets me high, bro. Like I could do that all day.
Yeah. It's sometimes I still got a pin in my mind of where I was in my origin story for anyone's looking.
Sure.
But yeah, bro, it's like when you have a full day of calls back to back, like they kind of just become a name on a calendar, right? Yeah. Like when you've been doing it for so long, they just become a name on a calendar and a slot that's filled up that's either going to show up or not show up, be a deal or not be a deal. And you got to remember, like these are real people's lives were changing. I had a lady for a coaching offer. It was coaching for doctors and nurse practitioners. Before the call, sends me a text, long ass text. She's like, yeah, decided that I don't have the money for this. Let's just cancel the call. I'm not going to do it. So, I'm chill's closer, right? I'm like,
chillest closer.
Like, no worries. Let's just get on the call. See if it can make sense. If not, I'll point you in the best direction.
Free resources.
Yeah, I'll send you the YouTube. I got you. We hop on. I get her on the first, bro, I had to create a custom, like she was actually like really broke. I had to create a custom plan. I had to cut the program in half so that we can finance half of it because she couldn't get approved to finance the whole thing. So rather than it being 4 months, it was 2 months, right? And that 2 months goes by and I see a testimonial from her inside of the community about how much better she's showing up, about how much this has changed her life. Bro, we had a webinar probably a month after, so she extends, right? We had a webinar probably a month after that. And people are in the comments, webinars, bro, they're shit talking us. And I see her name in there saving us. She's like, no, guys, this is a great program. This program changed my life. And I've seen a couple more like her commenting under the other ladies' posts in school. And like, I could have just taken a walk that hour.
Yep.
I could have been like, cool.
You showed up though.
Yeah.
And we hold the gates. We hold the keys to the gates for some of these people. And like you said, like if you have 7 calls in a day, these names can just it can just become a name on an event. But for them, they only have 1 call. They have the 1 call with Nick or Tristan or whoever. And I took that super seriously. And I think that that's like, as I start to move into coaching and I'm taking an angle of like off-call skill set, like follow-ups and nurtures, like conviction-based sales and follow-up and copywriting, just because there's a lot of people teaching the objection stuff. And I actually wasn't the best objection handler. Like I wasn't pulling off these Jedi reframes. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm nice. But it was just more about conviction. I would just have my interest level of helping them way up here. And then the level to where they need to take the action, or the level that they need to get to take the action, like I would just force them up with conviction. Because it's like, if you don't believe in the thing you're selling, sell something else. Yeah. And a lot of people that get into sales, they get into it for their own income goals. That's cool. Or they get into it for like, what I hate is like these bully closers, bro. I can't stand it, bro. Like that works, like, especially if you're young, like you're a young guy and you're doing that bully stuff. Like, I don't know who that works on, but I wouldn't be able to sleep if I sold like that. And for me, it was more like breathing life into people and really helping them overcome, doing the same process, but in more of a conviction based way. So
I agree. I agree. I'd say like I think bullying is like definitely never okay, right? But
right,
I think like a healthy level of aggression
of
is pretty
course,
important.
yeah, and
Um,
you're there to challenge their beliefs, right? So it's
mhm.
like that's part of the thing, and you do a really great job of that. Like I was watching some of your feedback for Chris, and it was just like you're in there, and you have that finesse though.
Yeah,
Like a lot of these guys, they never even get to train tonality because they can't master the basics enough. But like you do it with the finesse, and as long as you do it the right way as a consultant
hmm
who actually cares, I think it's more about the conviction doesn't necessarily change the way that you sell, but it's like the energy behind it.
right. People could feel that. People could feel that. And so with where we were, I was doing the emails,
Cold
shit
email,
like
two
that. My
clients, fell apart,
shit fell apart, and I'm back at the drawing board. And we were driving
washing
home.
dishes.
Yeah, bro, back washing dishes. I really thought I was gonna be rich, bro. I was like about to stop DoorDash, and I was like, yo, this is gonna be it. If they both pay me 3 grand, that's six. That's way more than the 4 to 5 I wanted. But it didn't work that way. So we were driving back home from a dinner one night, and I see a billboard, and the billboard said that there was like a marketing agency hiring. So I'm like, okay, I think I'm better than these motherfuckers at Facebook ads and
Hmm.
email marketing. Like, I've been doing this for 2 years. I don't got a degree or nothing, but I've been doing this for years, so I'm sure I'm better than them. And it was just an admin assistant role. But bro, I obliterated them. I assaulted their fucking phone and their email. And so eventually the guy was like, yo, I respect it, but this isn't even that important of a role for us to hire. So like we're not gonna move forward for now. And it was only like 30 minutes from my house. I was like, I don't have to be a dishwasher. I can wear a nice fit, like go to work every day, a respectable job. And then that didn't work either, but it put the seed in my mind of I could get a marketing job. So taking what I knew with cold email and ecom, I combined them, and then I ended up sending a bunch of company executives at big marketing agencies emails
Mm.
to basically saying hire me. And bro, I was printing interviews. Like this was like an unpatched method. I'm sure everybody does that to get a job now, but this was
Probably not.
unpatched.
Probably not.
Really, really.
No.
I was printing them, and I got my first job. It was like 65K a year, something like that.
Marketing type role.
Marketing, yeah, it was it was Klaviyo email marketing,
Hmm.
except now I'm at a job and
Hmm.
I'm remote. The company's based in like LA. And I remember like going in my backyard, like, holy shit, I think this might be the one. Like this might actually change everything for me. And it did. A few months, I lost the first job. It was like 3 months in, and it was a small company. But I had stacked so many offers that I just called one of the other people back. And a couple months later, I'm able to move to Houston. First of all, I move out of the crib and I tell my parents I'm moving out and I don't need you. I'm able to move to Houston, get my first crib, like all of these things. They even flew our team to LA and like they were asking me, how did you even think of this? How did you even come up with this?
Meaning how to get in this door.
Yeah, how to get in the door. And I told him I was doing drop shipping and then cold email and I just kind of combined the two. And that was like a really crazy moment for me. We're sitting in this nice ass restaurant in LA. I'm the only black dude,
For sure.
21 years old, and they're asking me how I got in front of them. And
Were
I'm
you
wondering the same thing.
were you feeling like I remember a couple moments for me where I was in that position, um, and like kind of like somehow got my foot in the door, but like it's like what? How did you was it was there a little bit of imposter syndrome or was it like relief? What was the feeling? Were you anxious? That you like take a breather outside? You're like, fuck me, like I've like felt like what was it kind of?
Dude, it was relief.
Yep.
I was so relieved because I knew that I never have to work for $12 an hour again. Even if because that was my second job at that
Hmm.
point. The first one only lasted 3 months, and I had more offers lined up. And the best that was honestly a better feeling than even making 10 grand a month for me.
Hmm.
And 20 and 30 and like all the big numbers that we talk about on the internet. That told me that I can make a real living and I don't have to bust my ass and I could do it from the comfort of home.
Yep.
And that was like game changer for me.
So you're in Houston now,
Hmm
crib. Did Lisa comes?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Lisa came like a year later. So I had moved by myself that first year. She came a year later. And then I also so this is where I get into sales now, right? So I realized that the corporate world was not for me because the same anxieties I was feeling came back. I would say even a little worse because on the surface, I have benefits, like good ass benefits, work from home, good job,
that
good
health
pay,
insurance, baby.
and I'm damn near miserable, bro. Like I'm waking up in the middle of the night. I had big clients, right? So I'm waking up in the middle of the night thinking Slack is going off because there used to be constant client fires. Some clients were even paying us like 100 grand a month
Damn.
to pay an agency for like 3 services, billion-dollar companies. So like if they need something, like you got to kind of answer that shit. So I'm waking up in the middle of the night. I'm like, fuck, bro, this is not for me. So this is when I came across Luke Alexander, and
Classic.
classic. Shout out to Luke. I came across his content, and he was kind of just
Cartel, baby.
closer cartel. He was brainwashing me for a long time. I was just like watching his shit in the sidelines, and I ended up on my own. I joined Caden Jaro's his $50 a month thing. I landed a role through there. I was selling to like basketball trainers, and I did that. That didn't work out. I did it for like 2 months. I was on that offer with Ben Bader too, RIP.
Long
And
live Ben, man.
long live Bader. And then after that, I was on an offer that my boy had put me on to. He was managing. It was helping nurses start med spa. So it was a biz op. And I'm doing both at this time, right? I'm
Well,
working the
snap.
agency job.
Oh, really?
No, I'd left the other offer, but I'm working the agency job, which is a full-time job. It's demanding as hell. And I'm selling on this offer. So both are falling apart. Like, I'm fucking up with clients. My close rate was total shit. And like nothing was working. And the same anxiousness comes back again. This is now the third time I'm like, because I know the feeling very well. Comes back again, and I'm like, yo, something has to go. And I sat there and analyzed what did I like versus what did I not, and I realized what I liked was the sale of getting the job. I didn't actually like the job, but to be able to sell myself as a 22-year-old with like little ass braids and like no experience, and then you guys are paying me now 85 grand. This is a second job. That's what hyped me the most. So she had just moved in, and because I had a good income and I was the only income, but I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna burn the bridges. Maybe I had like 25 grand saved up. I'm gonna burn the bridges, and went all in on that offer. And then that's kind of where the sales journey started.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, I was about to interject and say, like, for the people who want to land a job at first, even though it only lasted a couple of months for you and then you got anxious again, I still think that it's worth it to go and get paid to learn. Even though it might have not worked out for you in that capacity, the timeline was only a couple months. I think it's still like,
Oh no, I worked in agencies for 2 years.
okay,
Yeah. So
So-
that was like a 2-year time frame.
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So you did some time in the agency world, established yourself a little bit. Were you getting paid to learn? Were you actually learning stuff?
Yeah. So between the 3 jobs, so I had the first job that was like 3 months. The second job, I was there for like 11 months. I was there for a while. And the third one, I was there for maybe like 3-4 months. And I went from making 55K a year in the first one to 85K, and like me telling people what to do and shit. It was crazy. I'm 22. And yeah, I learned a ton. I learned a lot about just like corporate structure. I learned about like spreadsheets and like how to actually organize a business, how to balance shit out. So I agree as well.
Yeah. And then like, it's the thing about like what I've learned this year is like for the last 2 years, I got paid to learn basically. And then when I went into management and now I'm managing a few offers, like I'm getting paid because of what I learned.
Yeah.
So I'm not learning as much, but I'm getting paid more because of what I did learn. In that apprenticeship phase, like there's nothing wrong with going to get a job, man. And now we can talk about the sales stuff, which is like, even though there's so many like sales is the new biz op thing, like I still think I'm +1 on that because that's what I would tell myself, and that's what I did. I just got into sales. And I was like, you're telling me that if I sell $100,000 in revenue and I don't have to bother with any of it, and you'll hook me up with the leads, I'll keep 10 grand?
No brainer.
Done. And not everybody, though. Not everybody can do it because I think a lot of sales people don't highlight the fact that some of it is nature. And I think anybody can learn to sell. Anybody can learn to close. But not everybody enjoys it. And not everybody will actually be willing to go through the ups and downs. And it's kind of an emotional roller coaster, right, within sales. And I'm sure you'll start to dive into how it started and then we'll see where it goes. But if you are the type of person that can win others over with charisma or challenging questions or with just building relationships, and you can really like make a connection and help someone make a transformation in a small amount of time, you'll have a blast with sales.
I agree.
And, like you have that natural way about you. Like you said, you didn't even like the job. You liked the getting of the job.
Yeah,
and
bro.
so that's an important thing because some people would say, well, getting the job was a pain in the ass, but now that I've got it, I love corporate and I love the fucking happy hours or whatever, you know? So, okay, you get into this role, you had a iffy closing role. and then you quit your job and you went all in on the doctor offer.
Yeah, this was nurses at the time. So I went all in on the nursing offer, which I hadn't even proven the concept. I had been selling on it for a few months with like I remember one month I had like a 3% close rate.
Three?
They only kept me because they couldn't find anybody better. Yeah.
Yeah.
They just couldn't find anybody, period, because the offer was only doing like 40 to 50 grand a month. So
Yeah.
closers aren't throwing themselves to work on an offer like that. So I did that for a while, and I did that. I was grinding like all day taking calls, and if I'm not taking calls, I'm making dials to get on calls, and I'm doing follow up, and I'm building sequences, and like anything I could do to find cash.
Mm-hmm.
And I averaged like 4 grand a month for like 9 months or something like that.
The ringer. That's the real pay your dues.
Yeah.
You've been paying your dues, pay your dues again, now pay your dues some more.
Yeah. And I went from making like 6 grand a month at the corporate job down to like 4 was a good month, right? We're averaging 3 to 4. And I stayed on that offer, and I really stuck it out, which is why, like I always tell people, if you want to go straight into closing and you don't want to be a setter, you have to be willing to accept like a C plus role. Because that wasn't there was no way I was going to make 10 grand a month on that offer. But I learned so much, and I got a lot of game tape footage from that offer. So from there, I invest into Uncle Jeremy Minor, right? And someone that I met there, the dude who closed me, actually, I was such an easy close. I was just like, bro, my objection is I'm going on vacation. I don't want to lose that time. And I'm broke. So like, let's figure it out. Those are my only 2 objections, and we figured it out. But he could see how hard I was working, and he could see I was on a shitty offer. So he made me, and this is like my lucky moment, he made me intros with some of the top people in info, who are still some of the top people in info. And I decided to go work for one of them. And the first offer he puts me on, because in the story I was telling myself at that time is I'm really good, but the reason I haven't been able to make money is because it hasn't been proven on this offer. That's the only reason. So I go on an offer where people are making 10 to 15 grand a month, and I'm still not making shit. So
and you're still ass.
I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Should I go back to corporate, or like, nah, that's not an option. Like, I have to figure this out, but where do I turn now? The cope I was giving myself just proved to not even be true. And I was on that offer. I took 60 calls, bro. I think I closed like 3 out of 60. I don't even know why he kept me that long, because he saw something in me. And most of the time, you know, as a manager, when you fire somebody, it's best of luck. No hard feelings. It's just like, this isn't going to work out. He was managing another offer, and he was just like, it's just something about this kid. He's like designed for BizOp. I don't know what it is. And now in hindsight, now I know what it was. It was because like I aligned with those people very well. That was real estate investing, which I fucking hated, bro. I hate that market. Anyone who's listening to this, real estate investing is one of the toughest things to sell. Now I could probably do it, but...
Do you mean real estate investing coaching?
Yes.
Okay.
That's...
Yeah, real estate investors are... I don't have any personal experience with it, but I could imagine they're pretty skeptical.
Yeah. But
probably just like financial advisors. I have a friend who's on that type of offer, and it's cut and dry, bro.
Dude, everybody knows somebody who... Now I would dominate on an offer like that, just to make that clear, but... Everybody knows someone who's been saying that they want to get into real estate for fucking 20 years. Everybody knows somebody who's been saying that. So to create, and it was 15K. So to create urgency, you have to be a dog. Like, you have to be dialed to be able to create urgency on an offer like that. And I've coached guys in those offers who crush it now, because I learned that. But he put me on the BizOp offer. That was like YouTube automation. And that's where my life changed. First month I made like 7, which was the biggest month I ever had. It was like 6 to 7. And then I made 10, and then 10 again. And then it was like 15, 18, 20, 25, 25, 30. It just, that's when everything changed. But that's what I had to go through to be able to make that happen.
Yeah. I think, man, like you said, like it was about 9 months for me, maybe a little bit less, of just in the remote closing space, really like not doing well at all. But somehow just renewing my faith every single month, despite the $3,000 check or the $2,000 check. And I ended up running into a company where they got bought by someone else, and then like they didn't pay me and they shipped me on the payroll. Before that, I was in construction sales. So I did a year of that and sold like $1 million in revenue.
Nice.
And like pretty quickly they were like, oh, this guy's got it, like X factor, like type thing. And I was probably closing 3 out of 10, you know? But when I jumped into remote high ticket, I found out
those are like long sales cycles.
No, I mean, like the way that we designed it was, we would pay like $2,000 a month for leads, and it was kind of like Angie leads, like damn, I'm drawing a blank on what it's called.
I've heard of Angie's Leads. It's
Um,
like for contractors and shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
damn, that it used to be called something else, but Angie Leads basically, and we would run a form where if someone needed a roof or a deck or a bathroom remodel or whatever, um, we would get their phone number. They would submit a request and they would get the
Mm,
lead, but so would every other company around.
right.
And I learned setting through that, setting my own in-person appointments, and we would go on like an hour radius. I was getting a ton of windshield time, like driving to these houses in the middle of Tennessee, like in the middle of nowhere, basically, because I had left my serving job, didn't want to do finance, took a sales role with my two buddies. I was effectively the third co-founder,
Mm,
not on paper, but they were like, "Hey, we need someone else to come and build this company," and I was like, "I'm down."
mm.
And we would set the appointment, and then we could go for a one call close, but it was either a one or a two stage, like one or two. And so you'd go to you'd get the quote, and whether they wanted a roof or a deck, you'd map it out and draw it up. And I was doing the measurements and then sending it back to our guy that was on the contracting side. And he's like, "This is what it's going to cost." So we do our markup, and we'd give him a price like on the spot.
Okay.
And our competitive advantage in Johnson City, Tennessee, was that we showed up.
Mm,
Like it was like the middle of nowhere. I'm sure it's probably a little bit tougher now because everybody's moving there, but they were like, "Oh my God, you answered the phone." And so
yeah.
we had they had strategically chose that location because there was not a lot of competition, and we went out there and raked it in. Ultimately, we struggled with the fulfillment part of the business, like actually getting the jobs done, because it's actually really hard to build homes basically,
Yeah.
or do renovations, and but I got my chops there, and I remember I had my spreadsheet. I sold 1 million in a year, which was like they told me like if you could do that, you've got it, or whatever. Um, and so, anyways, once I got into remote sales, though, I would I would run appointments in person from 11 at the times of 11, 1, 4, and 7. And I opened up. I was on an Amazon offer, and I would do 12, 2, 5, and 8, and like
Damn.
just
So
like
you're just back to back
pulling.
switching parts of your brain too.
Yeah, like pulling off to the side of the road, hot spot, Starbucks on the MacBook, and like some of the guys on that offer were the top closer was making like 40 grand a month, and I was like, this is, and I was just like setting and like taking some calls here and there, and I would jump on the sales meetings and I would ask a bunch of questions. Like first day, I was like, bam, 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 like 10 questions, and the top closer pulls me to the side. And he's like, you're interesting, I know you'll go far, so I want you to
Mm-hmm.
invest in this course. I ended up buying like the sales sniper boot camp, like Matt Ryder's like thing, like kind of with seventh level, but
Is it the
that's
shit that was $50 a week?
no, it was
Oh.
$1,000 up front, and
Um.
it was like maybe like an 8 week thing,
Uh,
but it was really really good. And I remember they had a quiz at the end where you had to go through an entire sales process, and I got like a 5 out of 10 or something. I was super nervous because I was basically juggling like three things at once. But getting into remote sales, it took me another 8 months where I got super naive, like, or not naive. I thought the offer blew up, and I got on another offer that ended up being like a total sham. And I was like, I cannot sell this. Like, I don't feel good about this at all.
mhm,
And I just wouldn't. I was like, I'm not doing it. Like, cut me loose. Like, I'm good.
mhm.
But I had racked up a bunch of debt. I started second guessing. I was like, how could I have let this happen? You know, and then I was just like DMing everybody that had an offer, and I applied to like 20 sales roles, and then found the one that ended up propelling me forward, and then started to hit my stride, like you said, 7, 10, 10, 15, and did the thing. But what's interesting about the conviction is I'm so happy that I went through that shitty period
Mhm.
because it made me appreciate the offer that was actually doing the right thing. Like I'm sure like the YouTube offer, like it was probably pretty good for the
It
client.
was really good for film, yeah.
And so like you get onto that after having all the shitty opportunities, and you just turn it up because you have that appreciation for it. Do you feel like that was the case? Like you were showing up with conviction. You're like, this is the thing. Biz
Yeah,
boom.
definitely, bro. You definitely appreciate it way more because I've been on off, and the comp structure was like really good. But besides that, I've been on offers that I just did not feel like the potential was there. And so I go from my first cope is there's no one here making money to, okay, real estate just isn't for me. I can't cope now. Like this is biz op and people are making money. And I made it happen. And yeah, I think it goes back to what we said earlier, bro. It's like I've through everything I told you there, I've been a lot of these prospects. The dude who's washing dishes or just working a shitty job, making $12 an hour. I've been the corporate guy who's making good money on the outside, who has a good life, but knows that he's met for more than that, which is majority of what the prospects are on those kinds of calls.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't give a fuck if you go make a YouTube channel that blows up or not. But there's so many skills. You're going to learn editing. You're going to learn script writing. You're going to learn so many things that
Yeah.
maybe you could go start an agency.
Yeah, people don't realize that either. Where
Hmm.
it's like I've been thinking a lot about this year and how I said earlier, like I got paid to learn, but then I got paid because of what I learned.
Hmm.
Um, Whenever you invest into a program, you don't just get paid in income. You can get paid in skills.
Hmm.
You can get paid in networking and connections and opportunities.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking a lot about in 2026, like how do I want to get paid? I certainly want to make more income, but I also want to make sure I'm in a position where I'm not getting paid because of what I learned. I'm getting paid to learn again.
Yeah.
And so
Smart.
um, a lot of times they would ask me like, well, how quick can I make my money back and blah, blah, blah. It's like, look, you're going to learn copywriting, email marketing, tech stack, landing pages, client acquisition, sales skills, this, that, and the third. One, two, three. Like just take the modules and each of them as a skill, you know?
Each
And it's
been of the
like,
business.
yeah, yeah. And it's like, maybe this isn't the end all be all, but you're going to learn so much more. And again, the downside is whatever the ticket price is.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think a lot of people could stand to be reminded that you'll use those things forever. Like there's even in the ghostwriting program, because I went through it because I wanted to have more conviction. I sold a couple email uh, sequences to businesses
Hmm.
and wrote them for them, and like that those skills pay me dividends. So every week, every month, every time I send an email to my pipeline or like help my
Yeah.
closer do that too. So it's like you can get paid in skills too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when people ask that on calls, like prospects, I'm like, you're asking the wrong thing. Like, oh, how quick am I going to make my money back? You're not asking the right question. Like, right now, you have no skill at all. Don't worry about when you're going to make your money back. Worry about building the skill set to get you out of the situation. And I think that was like a pivotal way to look at it for me.
Yeah. So what was the 7, 10, 10 like first couple months of success like? Did you do the hood rich thing? Because I could tell you my story. I definitely did. But it took me about 6 months to unwire
Uh-huh.
all of those anxious beliefs that I had. Like, I was frantic still, even though I
Yeah.
was cashing in now. It took me about 6 months of a lag until I kind of like started to breathe. What was that like for you? Like, was it just overnight? You're like, thank God, and then you just went all in, or walk me through the mindset?
So I had a little bit of like Texas is cheap, right? Like, like I was living in Houston, so it wasn't that expensive. But bro, I love to eat. So that was the first thing, bro. Ask her. Like we were eating, we were going out at the time. It felt like a lot, like once to twice a week we would go out, and the tab's like $100. But
Yeah.
I can finally be able to do that, and that was like the big thing for me. It's just being able to eat whatever I want.
Yep.
And then I had this lady, her name's Chef Kui in Houston. If you're ever in Houston, it's like the best private chef there is. She used to meal prep all my meals. And that was like 180 a week to meal prep everything. And it was like 15 meals.
It's good
So
press.
doing that, I was like, yo, I'm rich. I got a
I'm
private
living.
chef. I got a high rise. I can fucking work whenever I want. Um, those are like the big, I never got like crazy. I didn't do anything crazy. Like didn't get a crazy car, didn't go waste all my money on an AP or nothing like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the levels of income go 5, 10, and then from 10, it doesn't really change. Well, 20 grand a month is different than 10. And then it's 30 and then 50. And then it doesn't, unless you want to buy like a boat or something like, or you're flying private, like it doesn't really change.
Mm-hmm.
But going from like 5 grand a month where you're budgeting and things like that to like 10 and 15, when you get into that 15, 20 range, you just don't think about purchases.
Anything under a grand feels free. Like,
Yeah, yeah, it's like, and especially in the closer mindset, which has its downsides. You're like, oh, I'll just sell a deal, and that's
mm-hmm.
that. But I think graduating from I'm not worried about what the grocery bill costs to I can eat at like a white tablecloth restaurant here and
Yeah.
there on command, like that is such a sweet spot. And I remember for me, like having that 1 year of like one of my mentors early on told me, hey, like every single week, go to a white tablecloth dinner because it's not actually that
You got
much.
that advice too, right? Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was like, do it because it's not actually that much and it'll make you soak it in and you don't have to delay that for long.
Yeah.
So you're eating dinners, you're eating good.
It forces you to disrespect money, right? And I remember the first like big thing that I spent money on at that time was, and this is the most memorable, was taking my family to Jamaica. My brother-in-law and I, so we were all gonna go as a family. A little bit of financial problems, so some of us weren't gonna go. And then I looked to my brother-in-law and I was like, dude, what if we just split it? And it was like 20 to 30 grand split between the two of us. And it was great, bro. My parents had a great time. This is the second time my mom's ever been in a 5-star restaurant or hotel. Dad's never been. And they don't have to pay for anything. And it was like the sickest experience. And seeing that, I was like, yeah, this has to be the norm for me now.
Yeah, dude. It's funny. I think Johnny, he shared with me like one of his goals when he first started was like to take his mom on like a safari in Africa. I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure he's there right now.
Nice.
Yeah, he like sent like a picture of the lions or whatever, and like
Nice.
it's super cool to do that. I think that's definitely one of my goals for next year. I haven't done the whole splurge on my parents in a vacation way. Like I
Mhm.
bought my mom a couple cars here and there, and like I cover all her bills and stuff. But just from like a maintenance perspective, I should add that to the list stuff for next year.
It's a beautiful feeling, bro. Yeah, I think it's well deserved too. I think you definitely should. And something that I remember you were saying earlier about you came in, you sold 1 million pretty quick, is like it's a little bit of a different pivot here, but the type of person that you need to be able to make this work. Because you see people come and go. I think you said 30, 60, 30, 90, and then 6 months,
Hmm.
right? Is like the trend that you see.
Sure.
Part of the story that I miss, bro, is the dude who hired me on the offer he was managing. I told him I want to get into high ticket sales because he used to always post about it. Sent me a course, said go through this twice and let me know. Bro, course was long as shit. It was like 50 hours, 40, 50 hours. I went through the whole thing twice in like 2 weeks. And I was like, yo, I'm ready to go. And Tristan Steckler told me a similar story about a young man who works for him or worked for him, who he sent a course. He's like, go through this, went through the entire thing in a weekend and has started hitting record months shortly after. And it sounds like you had that too.
Oh my gosh, bro. When I got on my first offer, I was super blessed because they had invested into the 8-figure boardroom. And so they had the 7 FSA, like entire Cole Gordon thing. And I had done the NEPQ 3.0 or whatever. My friend paid for it and gave me the login and I went through it.
Mm,
But I demolished that course, bro. I demolished it. Like
mm,
every single thing, taking notes. Me and my boy Connor, we would go back and forth and like practice the different states and Heaven and Hell Island and all the beliefs and blah, blah, blah. I would drown. I drowned in it, you know.
yeah.
And so many people want to make the money, but they don't want to do the off call stuff, like getting better at skill set. And like, you know, a lot of times, like Dylan, he takes the route of it's not about sales training; it's about the offer.
Mm,
That's true. Um, but like the difference between you kind of know versus you know versus you're advanced, you can triple your income just by getting better at your skill set. And I think it's like it's par for the course where if you want to make over 100K, you've got to take your skill set seriously. Like if you get lucky on a good offer that the people are hungry for it and they are organic and they're kind of just like laydowns where you need an order taker,
mm,
that's cool. But if you invest in your skill set, time, energy, effort, you go through the course, you take it seriously, you can really become a master at it. And I think that for the people who are early on that are in this space, just because it's kind of like the shiny thing right now,
mm,
they're not going to last because they don't love it for the game. And like, I'd love to hear about the second chapter and then like what ended up leading you to go into coaching. But I drowned in it, man. I was pouring all on the skill set. And like, we would have a once a week meeting with one of the account managers from Closers, a guy
mm.
named Sean Ray,
Yeah, he's a
who,
beast. Yeah.
bro, he taught me. Learned under him for like 2 years
Mm.
or maybe a year and a half. And then Temple Naylor.
Skilled good motherfucker too.
Yeah, he's a beast. And then Temple Naylor, I learned under him for like a year, now he's doing his own thing and he's got his own program and I think he's into management as well.
Hmm.
But they taught me everything and I took it so seriously. Like I showed up on the coaching calls and I just said, I'm going to be your best student. You tell me to do something, I'm just going to do it. And I'll iterate immediately. So I would get the feedback from the sales coaching call and then apply it on the next call and it would work. And then I would do it again and do it again and do it again. So I definitely took the skill set piece seriously.
Yeah, it's important, and like you said, it's right now it's kind of a biz op, right? Like getting into high ticket sales it sounds cool, and a lot of people get into which kind of was what makes the reason I have a job and I have a business, right? Is because they come in and realize that it's not that easy. But I think after coaching a good amount of people, the people who implement the quickest are typically the people who are on the testimonial page, right, or on my YouTube. Like there are times I'll have to repeat feedback like 3, 4 times with them still doing it. That I just need to like be like, bro, don't send me another call until you fucking implement this.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, rarely are those the people who we can sit down and like Chris, for example, bro, I would give him advice. He'd implement it right away. He'd come on every single coaching call. He still comes on every single coaching call. And he's doing pretty well now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's like the iteration, right?
Yeah.
Like, as far as feedback loops go, like if someone gives you feedback and it takes you 10 times, well, that's your rate of learning.
Yeah, to implement it and not implement it correctly is one thing, but to just not implement it at all is,
Yeah.
is
Well, it's I don't know what it is, man. And I think that's why I hesitate. Like one thing I do not want to do
yeah,
is work with beginners.
yeah,
Um, and it's just because like I don't want to have to, what's the word? Babysit you on those things, right? Like I want you to implement what I say. Like I'm coaching a guy right now. His name is Mike, and he's the top closer for the I won't say the offer that he's on, but he it's a big offer, and they're doing really well, and it's a good company. He's a top sales rep, and I he just pay. I told him I'd work for them for free because I don't have that many clients, and I was like, let me just get you right, and then you can give me a testimonial. He's like, how about I just pay you $5,000? I was like, bet. That's even better.
mm-hmm.
And that shows me that you're serious about it. And he was like, I don't want you to be half in it. You know, I want you to be like energetically in it. And I'll tell him one thing, he does the thing. I help him write an email, he sends the email.
Mm-hmm.
I tell him to do the text, he said, done. And it's just like,
I've been seeing the screenshots, yeah.
just let me know when it's done. And I think that I coached another person who every week it was like, my God, dude, I told you what to do. And so I'm getting there with the coaching, and I mean I'm managing closers for my own like for management, and the people that iterate the fastest
Mm-hmm.
are their rate of learning is higher. And I actually think it was Hermosi who made a video about right now or maybe a couple months ago in his company he's hiring C-suite executives, and it's a big deal because the C-suite people that you put in your company is like arguably like what takes you to those bigger numbers.
Yeah.
And he said that he hires for not experience, but for rate of learning, which is how he defines intelligence. And how you define learning is when the behavior is changed.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, I'll take someone who's intelligent, which means they learn fast,
Yeah.
which means they change their behavior fast.
Yeah.
And so if you can get someone who can take feedback and execute on it, they will just dominate.
I agree, bro. Because again, like I'll never make anyone feel shitty about themselves. Like if you're literally just not getting it and you take it to the call and it's not working, then it's okay. Like maybe I need to explain it differently. Maybe we need to. But if you're just not doing it, it's like I was coached by Sean temporarily, and I hopped on a coaching call when I was selling to the doctors because I was like struggling with the particular avatar. He gave me feedback. I instantly implemented it. Like the next call, which was right after I implemented it, and the next day I wrote a Facebook post, or it was in Circle, right? I wrote a post in Circle like, yo, Sean gave me this feedback. It fucking worked. Whereas I could have waited 3 calls, 4 calls, like, let me warm up with it a little bit. And I was like, no, I'm taking this shit here. Let's see if it works.
So back to where we're at, you started hitting some record months.
Yeah.
How long were you on that offer? And what was the second and final stage of that? What did that look like? And then what made you get into the coaching side of things?
So I was on that offer for like 11 months, and I was consistently, there was like 12 to 13 reps at a time at all times.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a lot of motherfuckers on there. I think the lowest speed I was like 8 or 9. Like it was usually around 12 to 13, and I was always 1 to 3. And we hit $1 million months, bro. We went to Monaco. Like it was sick. Right. And I ended up leaving that offer because I got to a point where I was like hoping for no shows. Like I just was not, I was just tired of selling the shit, honestly, after a whole year of selling it. And I felt like I wasn't really growing at the company anymore. Like I could hop on a call, eyes closed, and piff.
Yeah.
No, I will. So I got on another offer. That was another biz op, super competitive. Stayed there for like 3 months. That was a crazy offer because I was working with some of the best. So to last there was like, I was like waking up. I was taking calls from 8 to like 9, 10 p.m. back to back to back just to be able to keep up with these guys. And I wasn't a fan of the comp structure, so I decided to leave that too, which is what brought me to the doctor offer. And I stayed on that offer for like 8 months. So I'm not an offer hopper. Like my whole career, I've been on maybe 5 offers that I just named there. And the doctor offer is where I learned to now sell to intelligent people, which is where a lot of my content came from. Some of it came from the biz op stuff because a lot of people can resonate there. Go ahead.
Did you start making content while you were closing?
Yeah. So when I was on the first biz op, the YouTube one, I saw some dude posting videos wasn't really that big. It's like 2 years ago, and I saw some guy post his objection handling video, and he got a bunch of love under it. And I'm like, I sound way better than this. I had no intentions of a coaching program, but I was like, fucking, let me just put mine up, see how it does. And I'd post like twice a week, and that's where it started.
Yeah, I wish I would have done posting when I was in the trenches in the field. Like part of me just wants to go back and like close for a little bit just so I can get the game tape.
Yeah,
I've got the fathoms and stuff, but like I I didn't really pay attention to it, and it wasn't a big like I wasn't on Instagram scrolling or anything. I was closing like I was working like a dog. And I think for me personally, like um the reason I left the offer was because I got into management, and that ended up doing a lot better for me with a lot less time input, just because I had a little bit of leverage for the first time. And I was just doing the same sales calls for 2 years, and it was I was getting to the point where I didn't feel like I was learning anymore. But a lot of people go into that mundane middle, and they can't, right? But I would say you're not going to have to, if you go and get on a really good company or a couple companies like you did, you don't have to sell for 10 years,
Yeah.
right? But you got to sell for 1 or 2 or 3 to make a name for yourself, and then you can escalate. And what we're starting to see is the different pathways, right? You can go into management, you can create your own offer, you could do sales coaching, which I think for all intents and purposes, man, if you actually know what you're doing and you can help people, there's a lot of fitness trainers. And I say there should be more, because there's a lot of fat people, and there's a lot of
way
shitty,
more.
and there's a lot of shitty closers, you know? And so it's like, I don't actually mind that there's a bunch of sales trainers. You just have to be able to discern who's really in it for the cash grab, or who's actually, they care about getting people better, and they want to make that type of impact. Because like you said, you know, if someone enrolls into your coaching, you help them get better, and you help them double their close rate or increase their income. I mean, that's a lot, dude. That's a lot of impact that you can make. So going back, I wish I would have posted content as a sales rep. But my mind, I wasn't there. But now that I've started, like we were talking about with the podcast stuff, I'm getting into it more and more. And I think I'm going to go like the Tristan Steckler route, where it's just like
Answering
fathoms,
calls.
yeah, just fathoms and stuff. Because
Yeah.
I'm still learning the short form game. But I finally this year like broke into content. So glad I did. I definitely didn't want to go another year without creating a brand. So at what point did you start posting content? Like how long ago?
So my first time posting was summer of 24, and that was just because I saw that guy. And from there, I was posting like twice a week, but I didn't start taking it serious because I didn't know what I was posting for. I just wanted to put my clips out there.
Yeah.
And it was mostly on Twitter too. But I'll be honest, what really put the fire under me is when I saw Johnny blow up, I was like, okay, I need to take this shit more serious. So I made a commitment that I'm posting every fucking day. Because I'm scrolling through his stuff, and he's posting every day. So I'm like, I'm going to post every single day. And that was in, I think, June or something like that. And then eventually, I think July, August, it was twice a day. And I haven't missed twice a day since.
Of this year or last?
This year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like shout out to Johnny, because like he's a big proponent of me posting. And I think that a lot of people think he happened overnight, when in fact, no, he did not. You go back to his TikTok, and it's like long journey of posting. And I think the one thing about him and Tristan Steckler and a few of the other bigger players is that if I look at what, like, I'm doing well, right? But if I look at where they're at compared to where I'm at, the missing ingredient is the personal brand part. And I think that's what I'm going all in on in next year is content, like straight up. Like I want to make myself known.
I've got the personality for it, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I've got the credibility, and I like helping people. And so as long as I make it about them and make the content really useful, and I'm being of service to people, then that's a good thing, you know? So you're starting to post content, you're still closing, starting to kind of feel like you're not growing as much. What happens next?
So I stayed on the doctor offer. So the doctor offer is run by one of my close boys, who I'm sure a lot of you know, and he had to hard sell me to sell on that offer, because I did not want to sell on it at all. And I felt like the revenue wasn't proven for me to come and know that I'm going to make money. So I didn't want to do it for a long time. And we went back and forth. And okay, so backtrack. He was my first coaching client, right? So it'll all come full circle. He hits me on Twitter after seeing the videos I'm posting twice a week, barely even consistent. And this is last August. And he's like, yo, do you do paid call reviews? So I'm like, I guess I could do a paid call review.
Yeah.
So we hop on a call, and I'm like, okay, we could meet once a week for $1,500 a month. And he was like, I'll do 2. And I was like, bet. So we do that. He was traveling at the time, but come to find out, we live in the same building and the same floor. He literally lived right across from me in the same fucking building in Miami. Bro. Yeah. And he wanted me to, you know, after me coaching him for a while and his company hitting record months, he wanted me to come sell for him for a long time. And I said no, until eventually, when I wasn't really feeling it with the e-com offer, is when I went to sell for him. And it was a lot of fun. Almost every month was 6 figures, like 100, 120, 160 grand a month together. And this offer, though, is what helped me. This is when I started getting consistent with content, for one. And 2, this was like high level people, and you can tell they were high level people just based on the conversations we're having. I'm not hitting them with heavy as the head that wears a crown.
Never.
Like, I'm not saying shit like that. Like, that's not
No,
gonna land with a
not gonna
doctor,
land.
right?
Nope.
But that was where I started posting consistently, and like he was my first client. He introed me to another client, and from there I was like, okay, like maybe coaching is the route that I could go. These two people have gotten record breaking months, and then it's been up from there.
And so you're saying 160. So are you the only closer?
Only closer, yeah.
Okay, so you basically partnered with him effectively and like just took over the sales calls entirely.
Yeah.
He was a founder-led sales.
Yeah, so he was, yeah, exactly. So he was the only one doing it before,
Okay.
only one on the phones. And then we started hitting some record breaking months together.
That's so fun, dude. And you guys live on the same
me
floor.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of
That's
teams
fun.
do that with like 2-3 closures to hit 160 a month, and
Yeah.
we're doing it just us. Yeah.
I mean, it's so one of the things I've learned this year is like part of it is the game that you're playing, but part of it is also who you're playing it with. And that's why I enjoyed working at my previous company so much, because it was just A players.
Mhm.
All of us were just owning our departments, crushing it, making it happen. And I lived with the other two closers that were the second and third place guys. Like I moved them into my house. I was like, let's get a big ass compound, high rise in Charlotte.
Nice.
You know, got one guy recruited him from New York. He was actually living in Germany from New York, but I got him to come all the way to North Carolina. Then the other guy came in, and so we just had a closer compound. It was just us three all day. You know what's crazy, man, is I wish we would have ultimately I wish we would have documented that a little bit more. Who knows, you know, over now, but
Content house right there.
yeah, bro.
I'd have been the OG.
Yeah, I think God, that time in my life was so fun. And
Yeah.
I've got it from my own memories, but we had a lot of fun running it up and just being in the same house, coming out of the bedrooms, like slam the door, like, fuck, I almost had him, or oh, I just got this one across, or piff, you know, and we would eat beef and just like grind. Like
Just talk a bunch of shit.
Yeah. You know, that's everybody wants to in our circles like get to the big months and do the big income and all that stuff, but like the journey it shouldn't be underestimated, man, because when you're in that groove and you're, like you say, you were next door to your boy and y'all were doing the whole thing together, that's where it goes quick, you know. Can't take those times for granted.
Yeah, I agree, bro. We used to do sales training and fucking have Wingstop. Like we would just order Wingstop, rip a vape, and I'm reviewing his call that he puts on the TV. It would have been cool if we documented more of that.
Sure.
For sure.
Yeah. And that's why like the cost of inaction of me not doing it going into next year is I'll take that for the loss that I didn't do it, you know, the years before. But
Yeah.
so you're going to get consistent with the content. Now you're upping it to daily.
Yeah, so I go from I for sure am gonna post twice a week to Johnny blows up and I'm like, no, I have to do daily. Like I'm playing small. So I do daily for a little bit. Once I'm able to get some consistency there, then I moved it to 2 a day, and that's where I've been ever since. Ever since like July, August, I've been at 2 a day.
What does your like actual calendar look like with the content stuff? Is it like you do it in the morning or you prep it the night before? Like walk me through that.
So bro, so back then all my content was sales calls and coaching calls, and I don't post fake sales calls. They're real. So I'd go back into my calls and I'm looking for moments that are clippable in those calls because I have my camera recording too. So I'm looking for moments, and I only did this 2 days out of the week, where it was really, yeah, like 1 to 2 days out of the week I'd sit there and I'd batch a bunch of them of like, these are clippable moments, send them to my editor, he'd send them back, and then I'm putting up the red captions that fly up of reframe and do this and do this. So it was that's what it looked like. I wasn't really recording content at all. I would do like talking heads, and those I would do daily. So at the end of the day, I would just rip them, but then that wasn't sustainable. So I started batching like 5 to 7 at a time.
And so all of your clients that you're now doing sales coaching for, have they came from straight organic, all of them?
Yeah. Everyone's come from organic. A lot of them have come from YouTube. So I'm doing 2 a week on YouTube now. I'm about to bump it to 3 soon.
What is, it sounds like you didn't really, because you went through so many iterations now, and now we're at the, what would you call like the present moment? But it sounds like when you got into the content thing, was there like a cringe moment? Like, did you have to get over posting, or did you just kind of ease into it because you had already been just like punched in the dick the whole time? Like,
there was a little bit of a cringe. So I started only posting on my close friends just to kind of get over this like mental block that I had. Because I don't know what the fuck I'm posting for. So I would just like post a live call of me objection handling someone on my close friends, and it was only like 40 people. So if they judge me, who cares? And if you're my close friends, then I don't think you're gonna judge me anyway.
Mhm.
Um, but from there, I remember starting to actually post, and I had friends who I'm still really good friends with who would put doubt in my ears, like, I don't know if you don't really know what you're doing it for. Like, I wouldn't really be posting. Like, I would hold off. And I'm glad I didn't listen because now I have all this content backed up that like will always live, you know?
Yeah, I think it's important, man, to like just everybody has that moment where like if you look up to some of these people that you follow online, like 1% of people are creators
Mm-hmm.
and 99% of people are consumers. There's some opportunity there
Yeah,
with
for
just that
sure.
equation, right? And like you'll see somebody who does really well in their life and they like just start posting, right? But it's like it's so important, man. Like even I've got like a couple hundred subscribers on YouTube and like what 4K on Instagram, like it's nothing crazy. I'm gonna be relentless about it now. But even just with I think this is like number 20. I think this will be episode 20.
Nice.
And bro, people have messaged me like, bro, your podcast changed my life. I got this notification from YouTube where it was like 2,000 hours of watch time or something stupid. I'm like, what? Like,
Damn, it's pretty good.
yeah. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. Like, and so even when you think about like if a podcast gets 1,000 views, which most of mine are doing like a couple hundred, it's like 1,000 people sat around and watched an hour of me talking to somebody. Like that's
Mhm.
insane, dude. And the the sales thing is like 1-to-1, where you can help someone change their life like direct on the
Mhm.
call. But with marketing, you add on that, and these platforms, it's like 1-to-many, 1-to-millions, 1-to-multiple, and that's where I'm really trying to get into my bag this year. I was just like making
Yeah.
myself known and making that impact more scalable.
It is crazy. Like, because sometimes, like, now that I'm at 2 a day, like, sometimes I forget that there's real eyeballs on the other side of it. It's just part of my day that has to be done. People will tell me something about, like, I met a dude in the elevator in my building in Miami who told me about a very specific objection handling clip that I did. And I didn't even remember it. It was so long ago. And he was like, dude, I took this shit to a call and closed the deal. I don't even remember the post. So it's crazy how much impact that
Yeah.
it has, and you forget, even if it's a couple hundred, bro. People are watching that shit.
Yeah, man. So for whoever's out there, like if you're in the sales space or not, like, and I'm not even gonna hate on the coaches, bro. Like, and you're doing it really well, by the way, which I'm
Thank
really
you,
a
bro.
big fan of what you're doing. But some people are like, you can discern the shysters, right? But if you're really about it, post content, man. Put yourself out there. Like you're building a resume nonetheless. And like
Mhm.
the downside is that you go through that cringy phase of your first 100 posts, and then on the other side of it is so much upside. So,
Yeah.
um, dude, I'd love to end it with we didn't really get a chance to go into like what you're doing now with coaching and what that looks like. So we can
Mhm.
definitely we can run it back for episode 2. But
Oh yeah.
going into 2026, like what are some of your goals that we can put online that you can look back to and just like call your shot? Like what are some of the things you want to accomplish next year? What are you thinking about? Like what's top of mind going into the new year?
So as of now, coaching is like the biggest priority. I have a lot of homies who are managing similar to you who are kind of telling me, you should kind of lean into management. As of now, coaching is what I'm
Sure.
gonna do. And like the goal, whether it happens this year, it bleeds into 2027, is 100 people. 100 people hitting their first 15K month. We already got a couple under the belt. So that's the North Star, and everything else is kind of following.
So getting 100 people to a 15K month.
Yeah.
That's sick, bro.
Hell yeah.
Dude, I can't wait to watch you do it. And I'm certain that it'll happen because you got that relentless mindset. I appreciate you walking through the story. Like, um, you've had a hell of a journey, man.
Thank
And
you.
you should be really proud about where you're at now.
Appreciate it, bro.
So,
Appreciate it. This was fun.
yeah, dude, let's do it. We'll run number 2 back and we'll go from there.
Yes, sir.
God is good, man. Happy holidays. 2025 coming to a wrap. Episode 20. Let us know what you want next.